And we are on. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and race fans everywhere. Welcome to this socially distanced edition of Burnin Rubber here. This will be going out on YouTube and Anchor.fm in the near future. This is the edition for August 14th, 2020, and hopefully the final socially distanced edition. Fingers crossed, because we will be back in our regular studio space starting next week. And Justin Palmer, Hal Leestep, I got to say, I am really excited to be going back to Columbia next week.
Oh, I'm excited too. Get back in the studio, talk some motorsports on the air. Now that's going to be a good feeling, get back on the air.
Yeah, I've definitely enjoyed the longer it takes here, but it'll be great to get back into the professional environment, get back into the studio and talk about some excellent racing heading into the postseason, the kind of the dog days now of the F1 and IndyCar seasons.
We're getting right into the heat of things, the prime of everything going on, and let's go ahead and jump right in. Let's catch everyone up to speed with what's been going on. So this past weekend, NASCAR was over in the northern United States. The Cup Series was at Michigan this past weekend for a doubleheader. The Consumer Energy 400 on Sunday, and the day before that was the Firekeepers Casino 400. One common element in both of those races, the same driver won both events. Kevin Harvick becomes the first driver to sweep a doubleheader weekend for the Cup Series at the same track. He held off some pretty stiff competition to win both races. One noteworthy thing that happened is that during the second race of the doubleheader, teammates at Penske Racing, or Team Penske, Ryan Blaney and Brad Keselowski took each other out. Or I should say, Keselowski took out Blaney and himself going for the lead. But, yeah, gotta ask, is the ink dry on that contract? I'm kidding. Brad was very apologetic after the incident. He owned up to it, much to his credit. The Xfinity Series was over in Wisconsin, running for the Henry 180 at Road America, the iconic road course in Elkhart Lake. And this race was pretty interesting. There was some rain in the forecast, and it rained during the race. So it was very entertaining already in that regard. There was one little problem, though. They had a caution period that, from what I understand, lasted 24 minutes. And just a little thing to know about Road America, it's a 4-mile road course. The laps there already take long enough as it is. 24 minutes under caution at Road America is probably 5 laps, maybe 6. And considering how it's Road America, it's a long time. Very long time. That was really confusing in my mind. In fact, I can actually find out how long the caution was. Yeah, 5 laps under caution for a car stopped on the track. That didn't really make sense. But anyway, Austin Cindric won that race. So I know at least one of us got that pick correct, because Cindric is the very talented road racer. AJ Allmendinger was second, followed by Chase Briscoe, Kaz Grala, and Andy Lally jumping into the Our Motorsports car and getting a top 5 finish in his first NASCAR race in a very long time. Good for him. We also had the truck race that was back at Michigan. That was on Friday before we taped last Friday's show. Zane Smith won a wild finish in that one. Grant Enfinger tried to block on the final restart from the lead and spun himself out. And then Zane Smith made a last lap pass on Christian Eckes for the win. Good for Zane Smith to get that first career win out of the way in the Truck Series, and now that puts him in the playoffs. So congrats to Zane Smith there. And Formula One, the Mercedes dominance streak is over. Max Verstappen of Red Bull Racing won his first Grand Prix of the season, the 70th anniversary GP at the Silverstone circuit, beating out the 2 Mercedes drivers of Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas. I'll start with Hal Leestep on this. Overall, your biggest takeaways out of the last weekend in racing?
Kevin Harvick is a monster. He is too good. I think I predicted him for the second race. I guess I should just pick him all the time for a doubleheader at Michigan or any track like that. Kevin Harvick is ridiculously good, and he's aging like a fine wine. I gotta say that out of the F1 race, my takeaway, of course, is that Ferrari did once more Sebastian Vettel spins at the first turn because Charles Leclerc locked up in front of him. Just great. It was a double whammy right there. They also didn't have Leclerc overtake him, even though they're on different strategy. It didn't make any sense. This is a Ferrari weekend. That seems about right. Max Verstappen's his tire management is just great. Everybody else is struggling the entire race with their tires, Bottas and Hamilton, and Max Verstappen's just fine. He's going on a long run, and his strategists tell him, first of all, back off of the Mercedes, and Verstappen goes, this is the first time I'm seeing them in forever. I'm not going to back off. And he keeps going, and he goes out and wins the race. That's one of the times where I guess going against your team order, smartest thing you could do. I wouldn't say he's going to break the dominance. I feel like we're going to see a continuation. It was a growing pain with the tires in general that most teams saw except for Verstappen. Great strategy, great racing, and you know what? It was better than the first Silverstone race, that's for sure, even though that one ended spectacularly.
Well, first of all, I'm still a little bit mad that there was no caution on that Zane Smith win. I'm still not over that because that should have been a caution for Crafton. However, Austin Cindric winning in the road course, that was not a surprise, and the Xfinity Series is definitely going to be favored in terms of rain conditions we may have this week, not saying anything else or implying anything else with that. But Austin Cindric, yeah, we knew he was going to be the favorite with Allmendinger starting in the back because of all their points. You knew Cindric was going to be the guy going out and winning this race, most likely. There wasn't just going to be enough time for AJ Allmendinger to get up to the front, and despite how good he is. Kevin Harvick, what more can we say? It is his year this year. He is having the best season this millennium. It really has been an outright dominance this year. Kevin Harvick has 6 wins. He's got an average finish of 6th place. That hasn't been done since Dale Jarrett back in '99. It has been impressive. You think about Carl Edwards' run in 2011. Kevin Harvick's been doing this for 22 weeks in a row. He hasn't finished worse than 26 at Homestead. That's how good the 4-car has been. And that's just how dominant he has been. Now, that might come to an end this week, obviously, but Harvick has to be the odds-on favorite to win the title at this point. He's gotten ahead of Denny Hamlin, who did give him a run for his money during that second race. So I'm not discrediting Hamlin and for getting that car fixed up and towards the front at the end of that one. Keselowski and Blaney had 2 of the better cars that day. I thought they were probably the only ones to really challenge Harvick, but they obviously got taken out by each other. And then Verstappen, the one pit stop strategy worked. It worked perfectly, and you have to have a elite driver to pull that off. And Max Verstappen did that perfectly, absolutely brilliantly. I know they did do 2 stops, but that was because they were ahead of Bottas, as that would allow them to put on a set of medium tires and just run away with the field. It still proved that strategy can be a way to beat the Mercedes. I said last week there's a 95% chance that Mercedes was going to win that race. It was a 5% chance, and the Red Bulls pulled it off. And yeah, I can't say anything about Mercedes. Mercedes definitely messed it up. They had 2 weeks of tire issues. Hopefully that's not an issue in Spain, although Spain is also notorious for the rain. So yeah, it's definitely been a very dominating week, but I don't think it's been a dominating week in the way we thought it was going to be dominated by.
Yeah, really interesting, really fascinating weekend of racing. And I do agree that right now, just in this last stretch of races, it's been a back and forth show going in between Harvick and Hamlin. But I think this week has really shown that right now, at this moment, Kevin Harvick is the driver to beat right now. He is just, he's gotten much, much better ever since he went to Stewart-Haas. Not that he wasn't great at Richard Childress in the first 13 years of his career, but ever since he joined Stewart-Haas, it's like his career trajectory, which was already really good, it's just skyrocketed now. He's nipping at the heels of getting by Kyle Busch for all-time wins in the Cup Series. I mean, we've always put Kyle Busch as the gold standard of NASCAR success in this current era of the sport. Kevin Harvick has really, really caught on very quickly. I mean, he's catching him fast. So Kevin Harvick's going to be a force to be reckoned with for the championship this year. And right now, I think we've been talking how Hamlin was the odds-on favorite going in, and Hamlin still can get back if he has some good luck. And Kyle Busch, the poor guy needs some luck, man. He cannot catch a break this season. The defending champion having a terrible 2020 so far. We'll just have to see if anything changes in terms of luck. But right now, Kevin Harvick, in my mind, if nothing changes, if it keeps going like this the rest of the season, Harvick is by far the odds-on favorite for the title. So with that, let's go ahead and let's move into our segment that we're pushing up here, buy or sell / gas and go. We're settling on a name here, but a few questions, 6 questions I'm going to ask, and we will go ahead and ask them in rapid fire. I'll give you guys a minute, so about 30 seconds each, 1 minute total to give your takes on these topics. I'm going to start with Justin for this first question. Do you buy or sell the idea of double headers being run at Michigan?
I don't think they're necessarily a bad idea if NASCAR is just going to force us to 2 races at Michigan on us. However, I still would like to see a Michigan lose a day. I know for Michigan fan base, but unfortunately, a Michigan just is not that entertaining of a track. I think it needs the auto club treatment and just goes down to the 1 race a year.
I'll buy it with the same caveat of if they insist on 2 Michigan races, you might as well get them out of the way in 1 weekend so I don't have to dread the second Michigan race. So that'd be pretty nice to have only 1 week where I have to think about that.
I was going to say the races this weekend for the Cup Series, at least, they weren't exactly the most entertaining. It was actually getting close to rivaling Pocono in terms of entertainment at some points, which is not a good bar to reach or to stoop.
But that's been what it has been for the past 3 or 4 years or so. I wouldn't expect anything less out of Michigan. It was actually a pretty good Michigan race for Michigan, though.
Fair enough. Hal, over to you to the start of this next one. Buy or sell the choose cone concept that was debuted this weekend at Michigan. Now, it will not be in use for Daytona for the road course races this weekend per regulations, but we got to see our first weekend of the choose cone. What did you think of it? Buy or sell that?
I'll buy it. I actually enjoyed it because NBC, first of all, actually showed what was happening. That in watching the strategy go into it was actually pretty interesting. So on that regard, I liked it. I'm glad they're not doing it at road courses or I believe they're not doing them at Daytona or Talladega. So I think that's the right call.
Correct.
But so far so good with it.
Yeah, I'm willing to buy on it. You definitely saw all the racing get impacted. I think that was what amplified this race and what made me enjoy it, because you had Chase Elliott, who was supposed to start 5th, start on the bottom, on the inside row of that restart, and he was actually able to compete with Harvick with about 10 laps to go. So it definitely has an impact. It definitely affects the way of racing. Obviously, guys were taking the outside, so it definitely had strategy involved. I'm going to buy it for now, but that's only for Michigan. I would like to see a bigger sample size at a smaller racetrack.
It'll be fun to see what happens if they go to a place like Martinsville, how the choose cone there is going to be affected. How many guys go for the inside? Okay.
Even Dover.
Yeah.
Even Dover next weekend.
Yeah. I'm just looking forward to a place like Martinsville where there's only like one line around and you're like, okay, who's going to be stuck on the outside because no one's going to want to go there. But yeah. So Justin, we'll start with you on this next one. Buy or sell Road America with the possibility of getting a Cup Series race there?
Definitely buy for me. I know I have the Chicago bias, and I'm only 2 hours away from that racetrack, but you got to get it. So I think you do need something a little bit closer to the Minnesota market and the Wisconsin market in general. And it's been a good race. It's been very solid for Road America, and it's a historic racetrack. I don't understand why NASCAR hasn't experimented with it before, besides the 5-year contract, but I would definitely love to see a road course added. And if I were to have my choice of the road course, it would definitely be Road America.
This must be a bull market because I'm just buying everything. Road America with a Cup day, I'm buying because that is an amazing track. And I love road courses, so I would always be in favor of adding another one as long as it's good. And we know Road America's good, so I'm buying.
Road America, just ever since it got on the Xfinity schedule in 2010, it's consistently been one of the most entertaining races of the year. I think we can recall back to 2011, where it was just pure chaos. Everyone was running out of fuel. Justin Allgaier ran out of fuel under caution on the last lap, and then you think Ron Fellows is winning. Well, no, turns out he didn't. He passed the pace car, so Reed Sorensen won that race. It was confusing as everything, but it was amazing to watch, and I love watching races at Road America. It's just such a great track. It really holds some entertaining races. I would love to see the Cup Series go there at some point. Ever since the other NASCAR series kind of gave up on the Milwaukee Mile. So moving on to the next question. I believe Hal is starting with this one. Yes. We've seen Kevin Harvick and just how dominant he is. Is he a lock for the championship 4 for the Cup Series?
Yes, he is. It's hesitant to say someone's a lock for the Final Four because of how much variance can go into the playoffs, but I feel safe in saying that Kevin Harvick is a lock. Guy's been there before. He has shown that it's not really a question. He's going to make it, and usually it's the Phoenix race that guarantees it. Well, that's the championship race, and quite frankly, I don't know what to tell you about what's going to happen in that championship race.
Here's the deal. 50 points. That's how many points Kevin Harvick is likely going to have or has right now with the 15 playoff points he'll earn if he is the regular season champion, and which he will probably earn next week unless Brad Keselowski has major issues this week. So, yes, I am absolutely buying the fact that Kevin Harvick will be among the Final Four. We saw how big of a lead Kyle Busch had last year and how much he struggled in the round of 8. Even then, Kyle Busch was able to make the Final Four and win the title. I don't see an exception for Harvick.
Yeah, I'd say Kevin Harvick right now is definite to get in. Just considering how consistent he is, how successful he's been, how much at the front he's been running. Right now, with just how many points that he's been able to log in with playoff points and everything else going on, Kevin Harvick, I said right now he's the odds-on favorite for the championship. If things keep going the way they are, Harvick is going to be in the championship 4. I don't think there's any doubt on that. Justin, back to you. The Cup Series bubble for the playoffs, it's been getting tighter and tighter ever since Austin Dillon won at Texas, and things have just been getting more and more chaotic. What are the chances that the playoff bubble shrinks even more this weekend at the Daytona Road Course?
Very high, I would say. I think it's going to expand for some drivers, and it's going to shrink up for a lot of drivers. You have no idea what this race is going to entail. We have no idea, even if they'll make it through the first turn. And I think this bubble shrinks up because someone has to win this race, and I just see utter chaos unfolding, and you're going to have guys like Michael McDowell in the top 5. Hey, that's how crazy this race is going to be.
Yeah, it depends on who's going to survive this race, to be honest. As far as I know, it could be your regular, already locked in a playoff driver winning, or it could be, I don't know, Quinn Houff could win. I wouldn't be surprised. It wouldn't shock me. It's going to – I don't want to say it's going to shrink because as far as I know, everyone on the bubble could crash. they might all just crash. It could happen. It might expand.
Okay, I had to ring that. You got it in before the time, but I had to ring that because Quinn Houff winning. I mean, I shouldn't really say that in regards to Quinn Houff. No disrespect. Quinn Houff is a very respectful individual from what I've seen. But just that car itself, really?
It just takes a strategy. Just think about it. Everyone's going to be concerned about turn one. What if he just hangs back? It wouldn't be a shocking strategy to just hang back and see.
I mean, he would have to make up 120 points. It's just to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like he's
because there is that caveat. You have to be in the top 30 in points as well. And he
hasn't even passed Kyle Larson. And yet he's tied.
He's got to pass him this week, right? Like, it has to.
Has to. Well, we'll see. All I know is that the first corner is probably going to be Let's move on. Last question. Al, we'll start with you. In fact, this is a really good question in my mind. Really good. I don't know who wrote this, but you deserve a pat on the back. We will see a wreck on lap 1 in one of the races this weekend, yes or no?
Yes. The first turn is going to be the equivalent of send it. And if it's not there, it's going to be turn 6. There is going to be a wreck on lap 1. It's a question of who causes it, and quite frankly, I won't blame them if they do. It's just what they don't know this track. It's not their fault.
I'm going to say, we did survive tonight. I will say that. And by the way, Michael Self won the race for the ARCA race. But yes, I do think we're going to have a wreck on lap 1. Does it throw out the yellow? I'm not sure. But yes, we will absolutely have a wreck, and I'm going to say the first series to do it will be the trucks. I think the Xfinity, if their rain experience last week, they will get through without a yellow.
Yeah, all I know is that the first turn, I have a feeling, if you remember the 2018 Charlotte Roval Cup race, where Brad Keselowski was leading late on the restart, and then basically what his crew called it, led the Army off the cliff in the first corner. That might happen in one of the races this weekend.
No. It was user disconnected. User disconnected. Right. And please replug it. Control.
Yeah. Controller disconnected. Just go straight off. Yeah. I have a feeling that might happen. And instead of 5 cars, it'll probably be 15 or 20. Who knows? It's going to be chaos. And why NASCAR didn't have practice or qualifying for the Daytona race, I will never understand. But, I mean, I do want to try to save money during the pandemic. There is that. But still, though, it's a new road course. These guys have virtually no experience on it. It's going to be a crapshoot. Anyway, we've reached the end of Gas and Go, and that gives us time to recall on the Money Team Racing and anything new that's happened there. Here's our very own Hal Eastep with the Money Team, the Money Team Minute, because that's really all it takes. Hal, what have you got?
So from a lack of news comes some news, to me at least. Since Spire Motorsports bought a charter, that means the Money Team Racing didn't buy one. So that tells you something right there. I will now take this moment to segue into something different and say Nico Hülkenberg did really good at Silverstone and finished 7th. I mean, and with a late pit stop too. So I'm just putting it out there. He's going to find a team. It's just a question of who.
Yeah. I mean, he's been in talks with Haas F1 to go there next year if Haas is still in the sport, which, I mean, I know we've been doubting Haas F1 lately, but it sounds like they might actually be in the F1 next year. So, I mean, good on them for staying in there. And Nico Hülkenberg, way to take advantage of the opportunities presented. Now, Sergio Perez will be back in the car this weekend at Spain, which, by the way, first of all, big hand to Perez for recovering from COVID-19. And we wish him the best of luck, and we wish Nico Hülkenberg the best. He did as much as he could with the equipment provided, and he got a solid points finish out of it, considering how he's not even a full-time driver right now. He's looking for a ride, so good on that. I thought you were going to dog Ferrari there for a second, not going to lie.
Yeah. Already did it. Already got it out of the way. Also, just one more thing. Speaking of Haas, Romain Grosjean had the 5th fastest lap in practice today. So that could be something there just to think about going into the weekend at Spain.
I mean, Grosjean does tend to be fast, but then he typically wrecks it at some point. I mean,
Yeah.
if you remember Spain a few years ago, he spun in turn 3, gunned it, and ended up taking out 2 other cars plus himself. So, yeah, there's that. Anyway, that's the money.
I mean, Haas F1, I'll give Haas F1 some credit, though. They've been making some very interesting strategy calls, and it's actually gotten them a couple of points this year, so I can't really complain about the performance of Haas F1 because they're definitely taking a risk, and so far it's paying off when Kevin Magnussen and Roman Grosjean are not getting wrecked by Red Bulls or AlphaTauris.
Or at least they're not wrecking. That's the one. That's another good.
Not wrecking on their own.
Yeah, exactly. Progress. Good for Haas. So we got some other news to talk about. We'll start with something that developed earlier today. There is a new Cup Series team on the block. At least there could be one in the horizon. Former NASCAR driver Justin Marks is going to be starting his own Cup Series team called Trackhouse. It plans to begin racing as soon as next season, 2021. Now, the car's sponsors, at least from Marks's interview, he wants them to mostly focus on STEM education. Could be something to keep an eye out on there. Also, Marks has said that he thinks that the barrier for entry into NASCAR, considering the Gen 7 car is going to be coming pretty soon, is the barrier for entry might be lowered a bit, making it easier for new teams to come in. Interesting hypothesis. So we'll have to be watching in a couple of years to see if it really pans out, because we don't really know for sure. It's an optimistic viewpoint for sure. We'll just have to wait and see.
And with that, it has more news than the money team.
More news than the money team.
I mean, I'm just going to say, well, right now, welcome aboard our Trackhouse, and hopefully you're better than all the other teams that have come up in the past couple of years, because right now they're not doing much.
Yeah, the others haven't done so well. Or there's also this they can have on the money team. They're a team.
Yeah, a real team.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
just like the Ottawa Senators.
I mean, they got to show up to a race at least, but it sounds like they actually have some organization there, which is good. Also, another driver was announced to the SRX Racing lineup. They've had Tony Stewart, Paul Tracy, and Tony Kanaan already announced. A new driver has been announced. Former Cup Series and Busch Series champion Bobby Labonte is going to be in the series. For the 2000 Cup Series champion, it's a great opportunity for him to prove his skills on what seems to be kind of an IROC 2.0. So I must admit, I'm really excited for this series to come around and to see names of the past get another chance at racing kind of in a champion series. It's pretty cool if you ask me. I don't know about you guys. What do you think real quick?
I'm excited. Like, these are some big names getting in there. I'm sure there's some rude Twitter people going like, this is a retirement league or something like that. But I'm interested to see, anytime Tony Stewart's in a car is interesting to me. It's always fun.
It may be a retirement series, but it is a pretty good retirement series. These ain't your Marcos Ambroses. Okay, hey, maybe not Marcos Ambrose, but this isn't your Brian Scott or any of those guys. This is the big dogs here. You might actually see Marcos Ambrose, but a lot. It seems like so far it's been a split between the Cup guys and IndyCar. I mean, open wheel. So I'll be curious, and I'm willing to assume the next guy may be, and I'm throwing this out there, Juan Pablo Montoya.
Please.
I'm willing to throw that out there.
Please want to be Montoya.
Oh my gosh.
I know there was a debate on Twitter about like who's the best driver ever, and there were a lot of people who said Montoya, and I can't really say I blame them considering how versatile Montoya is on different forms of racing. But that's a discussion.
As long as he's not speeding at Brickyard. So long as he's not speeding at the Brickyard, and I could agree to that.
That's a new one, so I'm good with it.
just had to bring that up. Anyway.
Better than the jet dryer.
Yep. Oh no, that's the ultimate. That's the ultimate right there. Anyway, More sponsors have been announced for NASCAR. Yes, sponsors are coming into the sport, contrary to what some people will have you believe on social media. Just going on sponsors from other teams to start. Ryan Newman has inked a 12-race deal with Guaranteed Rates. Remind me exactly what I think Guaranteed Rate is. Some kind of insurance company based in Chicago. I know they sponsor that White Sox field. By the way, Justin, sorry about last week with the White Sox and Cubs fiasco. But, yeah, they sponsor Guaranteed Rate Field for the White Sox in Chicago. They're based there. A 12-race deal with Newman. That's a third of the season. So, I mean, it's going to be a majority of the rest of the year. So good for Newman and Roush Fenway. Alex Bowman also has a 3-race deal with Acronis for this season, and the deal goes even further into 2023. Guaranteed Rate, it's good to have them enter the sport, and Acronis, they've sponsored, actually they sponsored Newman for a few races last year, so good to see them back in NASCAR in another capacity with another team. However, most of the sponsors, and I feel like, Hal, you mentioned that a lot of Twitter people would be angry about SRX racing. I feel like they're already directing their anger at Bubba Wallace, frankly, which is a shame. It really shouldn't be. But here's the thing. Bubba Wallace, whether some people like him or not, is getting a lot of sponsors to Richard Petty Motorsports. And these aren't like average small one-race sponsors like Joe's Garage or Average Joe's Entertainment or Globo Gym. Yes, it's not real. Just go with it on this one. Bubba Wallace has signed deals. First, he signed a deal with Columbia Sportswear as a personal sponsor, and they will be on his car for the doubleheader weekend at Dover. So Columbia Sportswear, I'll be honest, I have a Columbia jacket that I've had for a long time. It's Columbia is reaching into NASCAR. And from what I can tell, this is the first time that they are going into NASCAR as a sponsor. So good on them, obviously, and good on Bubba Wallace for having the deal there. He also has signed a multi-year deal with DoorDash, the food delivery service company that has their mobile app. DoorDash is going to be on for multiple races. In fact, they will be on Bubba Wallace's 43, making a red and white 43 Chevrolet for 7 races through the rest of 2020. So, I mean, DoorDash and Columbia Sportswear, big sponsors for Bubba Wallace. And it's clear to see that, hey, I mean, Bubba Wallace is pretty popular outside the sport with a lot of people, but he's getting these big sponsorship deals. And it's something for a team like Richard Petty Motorsports you love to see. Oh, and one more thing that really caught me off guard. Remember last week when we mentioned that Bubba Wallace was being offered an ownership stake in RPM? It turns out he actually has already an RPM ownership stake. He's had it since last year. Bombshell that dropped on me. Did not expect that. But apparently, like an increase in ownership is being offered, as well as, just on a different note, and basically a contract with Chip Ganassi Racing for the 42. So apparently Ganassi has offered a deal for Bubba Wallace to drive that 42. He's kind of torn between two different places, but regardless of where he goes, I think it's pretty clear that Bubba Wallace is going to be in the Cup Series next year. It's just a matter of who he's going to be driving for. I don't know. I don't know where else to go from here. Richard Petty Motorsports, by the way, their president, Andrew Murstein, he declined to disclose names, but he did confirm that, quote, and this is a quote directly from Murstein, "We are talking to a few people who reached out to us about investing in the team." He also acknowledged that one of those investors is a celebrity. Something to keep in mind. I'll start with Justin on this. RPM got a lot of sponsors, and it seems like everything right now, all the news is going around that team. First of all, what should Bubba Wallace do? Where should he drive for next year? And basically what I guess we can speculate a little bit on who the celebrities might be or investors, but Where does RPM go from here, basically?
It's definitely great to see RPMs back on their feet. But the only problem I see for RPM is if they can keep Bubba Wallace in that team. And literally all of these deals are not with RPM necessarily after 2020, but with Bubba Wallace, those are multi-year deals with Bubba Wallace. So it's definitely going to be a mystery, and Bubba is coming in with a ton, and I mean a ton, of sponsorship backing. And I don't know if investors are going to be willing if Bubba Wallace pulls out. And again, you have a lot of different rumors going around right now. You have a lot of speculation on where Bubba is going. We know of 2 deals. There's definitely got to be more out there. I'm pretty sure almost every team in NASCAR free agency, he has at least offered up Bubba a offer from JTG to probably Hendrick at this point. But it's going to be very interesting to see where Bubba goes, especially for a driver who's kind of a mystery. I'll be honest, Bubba is a mystery when it comes to talent versus equipment. We don't know. We know he's a good driver, but how good is Bubba Wallace? And I think that's going to be a very interesting question going forward. And I think that's going to be a very big headline going into next season. But, DoorDash, Columbia Sportswear, these are sponsors that are like, we've never seen them in the Cup Series before. We've never seen them in any series before. So for them to be coming in, it proves how marketable Bubba Wallace has made himself, of how the tides have definitely changed over the past months, where we all thought Petty was gone when the pandemic hit. And we all thought after the Blue Emu situation, that could be it. It's amazing how Bubba Wallace and that team has turned things around. Bubba's getting results. He was going for the lead in the second race of the Michigan race, and he's got a little bit shuffled back, but that used the choose cone to his advantage. To be honest, I don't know where Bubba's going. I hope he stays in Petty, because I really want to see Petty kind of rise from the ashes. It's like a phoenix. But at the same time, I kind of don't want to see him there, because I know that's not going to get him the best results. So it's kind of that that tug of war, or as kind of as a analyst and kind of as almost a fan of him. What's going to happen? Where is he going? And how's that going to affect the rest of free agency? Because I'm pretty sure at this point, it's not the 48 that's going to be the first domino. It's going to be the Bubba Wallace and where he's going, and the rest will follow suit from there.
My piece on this, I gotta say, first of all, remember 2017 when Bubba Wallace was on Twitter asking Domino's to sponsor him? How do you feel right now, Domino's? Don't you feel like you've made a big mistake? Look at this guy. He is so marketable. Bubba Wallace has brought in Columbia Sportswear, Cash App, and DoorDash. I want to focus on those last 2 because those are big names to our generation. People our age use Cash App a lot. They use DoorDash a ton, I know now for sure. So this is kind of huge. People are going to – if you tune into NASCAR race, you see a DoorDash card and you just ordered your DoorDash, you're probably going, that's kind of convenient. That's pretty cool. Who drives that? I think that's huge because it's bringing in this generation's popular businesses that you probably would have never considered coming into the sport before because they thought of it as it's an older demographic that watches and supports their favorite driver. Nah, young people are watching to see guys like Bubba Wallace out there. So it's huge. When it comes to where he's going to go, that is the massive question on everyone's mind. For a guy like Eric Jones, you have to wait to see where that drops. Because you got to think, where does Bubba Wallace stand? It's Chip Ganassi versus RPM right now. Now, is Hendrick just going to watch these sponsors go there with these talks? There are these faint rumors of dropping down to 3 teams. Are they just going to sit by and say, I don't want that many sponsors on my cars. I don't want to keep 4 cars with these sponsor issues that everyone was talking about. The Acronis deal helps a lot, but it's got to be in Rick Hendrick's mind. Bubba Wallace is going to bring in a lot of money, and you need it. Everyone knows you need the money. So it has to be at least in his mind. And I think that's one part no one's considering, is that the 48 is open and nobody knows what's going on there anymore.
Yeah, 48 is wide open
because Bubba Wallace has made this a wide open market.
Yeah.
There you go. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think the internet connection kind of cut out there, but just continuing off of that, the 48 is wide open. I think, if I'm correct on this, I think Ally Financial has some sponsorship locked with Hendrick and that 48 team through at least 2022, if I'm correct on that.
2022 or 2023. It just seems like everything's lining up for 2023.
It's one of those 2 years. I know that. But if Jimmy Johnson does leave, which it kind of sounds like he's still going to leave, which sad tear. But Eric Jones right now, he could probably go there if he wanted to, because it sounds like sponsorship on that team in particular is lined up. Sponsorship for Alex Bowman's car is a little sketchy still. Ever since Nationwide left, it's been a game of, okay, who can get on the car? Who can we put on the car to keep it running? Because that 88 doesn't have a lot of sponsorship all the time. But the thing that kind of makes me think that Bubba, the chances of him going to Ganassi are pretty realistic. And there's one key reason why. Because Ganassi and Bubba Wallace have one thing in common. Both of them share McDonald's sponsorship. McDonald's sponsors the 42 on a regular basis, and McDonald's also has a personal relationship with Bubba Wallace. It could be a match made in heaven going over there, and if Bubba takes his sponsors there, because it sounds like all of these are personal deals. You know, he's got worldwide technology backing him pretty steadily. He also has the Cash App that you mentioned, DoorDash now, Columbia Sportswear. He can take all of those to the 42. Plus, they also have Credit One Bank still sponsoring. You could have a bevy of sponsorship. I don't even know if bevy's a word. Bevy of sponsorship at the 42 team. Now, that being said, it would be really detrimental to RPM. And RPM is offering an increase in ownership for Bubba Wallace, it sounds like, because they really don't want him to leave. And I don't blame them. Bubba Wallace has proven that he is a marketable driver outside of just strictly like a NASCAR stereotype fan bubble, appealing to more fans, younger fans, and drawing them in potentially into the sport of NASCAR, letting them get interested in the sport. RPM wants to rise from the ashes, and I don't blame them one bit. They want to get back to relevancy. So I don't, honestly, right now, I don't know where Bubba's going to go. But I think wherever he ends up, if he stays with RPM and they keep up on this track, it could be really good for them. Oh, and by the way, the investors part, I want to talk about that too. I think it's great if investors want to get involved in the sport, if celebrities want to get involved, but I don't know. There's one small thing that's kind of nagging in my mind. Whenever I think of investors getting involved in NASCAR, I think of guys like Bobby Ginn or someone else along those lines, just people with a lot of money getting involved, and then the team goes down the drain. I think the most infamous example is Ginn Racing, when Bobby Ginn bought into MB2 Motorsports in 2006, 2007. In fact, a video was just put out on it last week by Brock Beard and Slapshoes. Just watching that made me think, oh my goodness, Bobby Ginn did not know how to run an operation if his life depended on it. I mean, his clubs and resorts company went under. The sponsorships that they had for all 3 cars didn't materialize, or at least they didn't fully materialize, to the point where not even a year after he bought the team, he sold out. He was forced to merge his team with DEI, and that screwed up the careers of Joe Nemechek and Sterling Marlin, and even Regan Smith to an extent. So that was really bad for them. Also, one last thing before we end the topic of conversation. I found this on Twitter. Bubba Wallace, almost 3 years ago, had this tweet with the caption, "Looking for sponsors like." I think it's
with the solar eclipse.
I think it's safe to say, spoiler alert, he found the sponsors.
I do want to go back to that point about Petty and the potential for new investors. Yeah, that's a huge risk as for Petty. And I've even questioned, like, how long does Petty want – like, how long is Petty involved in that how is Petty no longer or really the controlling voice of that team if they keep selling to investors? Or is it going to be something where it's just name only and Petty he bows out? I mean, Petty is getting up there in age for sure. But, yeah, I do have that concern because you also have to think of a guy like Rob Kaufman and a potential Rob Kaufman situation where he joins and something happens and then he bows out. And, I mean, we would not be surprised because as Rob Kaufman has created the charter system, so he would be one of the guys to – I mean, there are people out there are doing that, and there are people like Rob Kaufman, and that's a very dangerous predicament for RPM to be in. And obviously, Bubba Wallace has saved that team for at least 5 more years, most likely. He has saved that team from going under in 2020. He will likely carry them to the Gen 7. How long they survive after that without him, that's going to be tough. Now, if Bubba stays, I think they have a very good shot. But I think, and I really feel like this is going to be a key part in whether or not Bubba stays. I think they got to get out of the RCR umbrella. I don't think RCRs can carry them for much longer. I don't think RPM wants to be under the Richard Childress umbrella anymore. I think if they are going to move, they are going to have to latch on to another team, whether that's Chip Ganassi, whether that's Hendrick. Obviously, I don't think Hendrick would be the right deal because of Coca-Cola and Pepsi wars, because basically a Hendrick's the Penske. I mean, Hendrick's a Pepsi team, not a Penske team. And Bubba Wallace is a Coke driver. And you got to keep in mind, the only thing that's left at RPM, sponsorship-wise, if Bubba Wallace goes, is one race with the Air Force. That's the only obligation they have that is not attached to Bubba Wallace. If Bubba's going to stay, I think they got to latch on to someone else. Maybe Chip Ganassi, maybe Hendrick. I wouldn't even be surprised if they decide to switch manufacturers to become under the Toyota. I mean, the Toyota camp, that may be a possibility. They might try to team up with Wood Brothers and become under the Penske umbrella. They might go under the Stewart-Haas umbrella. You never know what they might do. But I don't think they're going to stay under that Childress umbrella if they keep Bubba Wallace.
Yep. Decisions to be made for RPM for this upcoming season, or for the 2021 season, I should say. It is kind of upcoming, but still, a lot to be decided, a lot to be discussed. I think we can move on. By the way, one more little note to add on here for this weekend. Rain tires will be considered, or actually they'll be in place for the Daytona Road Course in case it rains, which right now rain is in the forecast, so it looks like we're going to have rain racing. Yay. Also, temporary infield lighting will be put in place for the infield road course events for the weekend races for NASCAR. So rain tires and infield lighting should be a heck of a show. I mean, the ARCA race had a race in the road course tonight, so should be a fun show considering trucks and Xfinity are going to be there. Let's get into it. We've got picks to make. We have reached that point of the show. So what do you say, guys? Let's make some picks.
Let's do this. This is going to be
Let's do it.
Oh, man, this one.
It's going to be one heck of a show. Let's
get the wheel out, Justin.
Oh, God, we're really going there.
Right. Oh, you want the wheel?
Oh,
all right. I'll be
honest. The wheel might be the best choice here.
All right. Here we go. Let's start with the Xfinity race that's going to be happening. It is the University of Northwestern Ohio 188, the UNOH 188 at the Daytona Road Course, 52 laps on the 3.61-mile infield road course at Daytona. I'm going to go ahead and share the screen now because the starting lineup is out. And here it is. Austin Cindric, last week's winner at Road America, will start on the pole. His Ford compatriot Chase Briscoe, who won the Indianapolis road course, will be starting alongside on the front row. Then you got Chevys 3 through 8 with Gragson, Chastain, Haley, Andy Lally is back in the 02, Michael Annett and Ryan Sieg. Rest of the top 10 Toyotas of Harrison Burton and Brandon Jones. AJ Allmendinger starts 11th, Preston Pardus and Brandon Brown. Riley Herbst is in 15th. By the way, Herbst actually won the ARCA race in Michigan. Shocker. I know. It's his second career ARCA win. It took him way too long to do it. Alex Labay. I do want to bring him up very quickly because Labay, the penalty that we highlighted last week for the SCCA testing penalty, that penalty was actually rescinded. So Labay's team is no longer penalized for that. Interesting to note. He's starting 16th. Mike Wallace is back in the 0 car. He's starting 20th. Stephen Light in 21st. Daniel Hemrick driving the Curse Junior Motorsports 8 in 23rd. Going down the rest of the grid, you got Myatt Snyder. Earl Bomber is going to be racing for Richard Childress Racing. The IMSA veteran Earl Bomber will start 29th in the 21 Chevy. 38 cars to choose from. We're going to start with Hal Estep. Who wins the UNOH 188 at Daytona?
This is the one race where I actually feel comfortable in not going random. I'm going to pick AJ Allmendinger. He's starting 11th for once he's not coming back from 30th. So that's a good start. Also, he has experience on the road course because of the Rolex 24. So I feel like he's one of the few guys you could say knows this course.
Yeah, Allmendinger won the Rolex 24 in 2012 overall with Michael Shank Racing. Justin Palmer, your pick.
Well, that was going to be my pick, but I know Hal, and I know the jinx is on. So I got to go with another guy.
Last week.
Well, broken clock is right twice a year. You got 2 so far, but I got to go with Chase Briscoe. This seems like a Chase Briscoe race. He's got some experience on the Daytona Road Course. It feels like a Chase Briscoe track. I just have a feeling that the Fords are going to be up front, and I have a feeling that Chase Briscoe will outduel Austin Cindric and AJ Allmendinger, much like he did at the Indianapolis Road Course.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to Hal's pick, Allmendinger, Justin's pick, Chase Briscoe, and my pick, Austin Cindric. I mean, Cindric, he's so good on the road courses. He had his first 2 wins on road courses. He won at Road America last week. He's won at Mid-Ohio, Watkins Glen, and Road America. Daytona is new for this year, so it's basically a new element for everyone, although not entirely for others. I mean, you got Andy Lally and AJ Allmendinger. I think Lally's actually going to run really well, I should mention. But Austin Cindric, it's a new track. It's a road course. He's basically a road course ace at this point. And don't forget, they have that chicane coming into the tri-oval, which is going to be very interesting. I don't know. I feel like it's going to impact the race in some way, shape, or form. It's going to have some impact. I just don't know how much of it will be impacted, but you can count on something big to happen because of it. But anyway, those are our picks, Allmendinger, Briscoe, and Cindric, respectively. Let's go ahead and move to the truck series that are going to be running, the Gander RV and Outdoors Truck Series. The Sunoco 159. Now, this race was supposed to be held in Canada. However, due to COVID-19 regulations and restrictions, the race was moved to the Daytona Road Course. It will be held before the Cup race on Sunday the 16th. Here's the starting lineup. Last week's Michigan winner, Zane Smith, will be starting on the pole. Christian Eckes in second for Kyle Busch Motorsports. Then you got Brett Moffitt, Austin Hill, rest of the top 10, Tyler Ankrum, Todd Gilliland, Tanner Gray, Ben Rhodes, Derek Kraus, and Rafael Lessard. That is the top 10. Going down the rest of the grid, Matt Crafton, the defending champion, starts 12th. Sheldon Creed in 14th. Parker Kligerman is back in the 75 this week. He'll start 16th. Grant Enfinger, always one to count on. He starts right behind him. We got Tyler Hill. That's Timmy Hill's brother. Yes, Timmy Hill has a brother, Tyler. Tyler is starting 19th. Alex Tagliani is going to be driving for KBM this week. Tagliani, the open-wheel star from the early 2000s and beyond. Tagliani, the Canadian, will start 21st, alongside his fellow Canadian, Stuart Friesen. Going down the rest of the grid, Chris Wright is in the 24 GMS truck this week in 26th. Carson Hosiver, I'm sorry if I butcher that name, he's 27th. Scott Lagacy Jr., that's a name we haven't seen in a while. Lagacy is starting 30th for On Point Motorsports, the team that Brennan Poole has a big part in. And going down, Mike Skeen is also in this race. If you remember Mike Skeen, just think 2013 Canada, and his girlfriend slapped Max Pappas in the face and got banned. So that's the one thing I remember Mike Skeen for. But it's not a good thing, but still entertaining nonetheless. It was one heck of a race, and definitely a fiasco in the garage afterwards, and I loved every bit of it. Anyway, Sunoco 159 for the Truck Series at Daytona. Howley, Step, who you got winning?
Oh boy, I really do want to pick him after you pointed out that his girlfriend slapped Max Pappas in the face. That's just a memory I've been I think repressing for a while. That was a brutal slap too. It didn't break his jaw. It was hard.
Close. Pappas alleged that it dislocated his jaw.
My gosh.
I mean, it was
a good slap.
The weird thing is, you look at it, he took it well too. Back to the pick. I'm gonna go with Alex Tagliani. He finished second at the Canadian. Well, I need to pull up the name. I don't want to butcher this. Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. He finished second last year, and this is his specialty. I feel like he can get it done in Kyle Busch Motorsport Equipment.
I gotta go with someone different here, and I think back to NASCAR 2006, and on that console game on the PSP, you had the Daytona Infield Road Course. It was only for, I think, NASCAR 2006, maybe 7 and 8. So I think our young gun is going to win this race. And who is a young gun that I've been saying was going to get a win for so long now? Oh, Christian Eckes. I cannot stay away from Christian Eckes. He's got to get one eventually. And I just feel like with his iRacing abilities and his on-track performance this year, he's got to be my pick this week.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just trying to see if just remembering that slap and thinking, I'm sorry. I wonder if they're still together. I don't know. Just looked on there, didn't find anything. But no, that was an interesting incident that happened. It's like, I still think about it every now and then. It's like, wow, it was amazing. It's something that probably shouldn't be happening, and yet I can't take my eyes off it. Mike Skeen is driving for Nemco Motorsports. And by the way, this is his first race since that 2013 Canada race. So his first truck start in a while. It's going to be interesting. Okay, I should really stop dogging on Mike Skeen there. But anyway, going back to who I think is going to win this, it's kind of hard to pick because Daytona is such an unpredictable race in general. And with the road course, it's a new thing for everyone. So we don't know. It's a new thing. We don't know who's going to be there, who's going to really go for it. I think it's going to come down to two guys going for it at the end, and someone's going to get turned in the chicane. I have a feeling that Todd Gilliland is going to be running up near the lead, and then something will happen in the chicane. Something always happens to him, not counting Martinsville last year. Although something did happen. He was going to be fired from Kyle Busch anyway. That's all I'm saying on that. I think, you know what? I think this is the time where Brett Moffitt gets a win. Moffitt has struggled this season. I'm not going to lie. the former truck champion has not had a very good season this year. I mean, he's still like in the top 10 in points, if I'm correct, but going by this season, it really doesn't feel like it. Brett Moffitt has not had a good season. He hasn't won any races this year. He has only like 2 top 5 finishes. He's had some good runs, but oftentimes after one good run, there's a terrible run afterward due to bad luck or something going on. I think Brett Moffitt, this is a race that he can actually capitalize on and win. So I'm going to take Brett Moffitt on this. So again, let's see. We have our picks of Christian Eckes, my pick of Brett Moffitt, and Hal, remind me what your pick was again. I'm sorry.
Alex Tagliani.
Alex Tagliani. Very interesting pick. So Tags, Eckes, and Moffitt. Those are the picks for the race, for the truck race, the Sunoco 159. Justin, you have
I'm going to request that we go to the next 2 races and skip this one because I am not ready yet to make my pick on it.
Very well. Very well. We're going to go to the F1 Grand Prix that will be in Spain, the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. No qualifying has been set yet. That will probably be tomorrow. However, let's just go ahead and make picks now because we know the 20 guys who are going to be there. Sergio Perez will be back, so there's that to keep in mind. Hal, your pick for the Spanish Grand Prix, who is it?
I mean, Lewis Hamilton has won it 3 years in a row. It's hard to pick against him, which is why I'm not gonna.
All right. Justin, your pick.
Yeah, he lost last week. I can't go against him 2 weeks in a row. I got to go Hamilton, but Bottas is very tempting.
Yeah. I'm going to be daring and say Verstappen.
Uh-oh.
Verstappen, if you remember back to 2016, by far one of the best Formula One races I've watched, solely because Mercedes took each other out on the first lap. That was it. That was the biggest reason why there was when Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg took each other out, it paved the way for Max Verstappen to become the youngest Formula One Grand Prix winner ever. That was Verstappen's first career win in Formula One, and I think he can get it done again. He can do it. I mean, he showed last week that he's capable enough to beat Mercedes. So I'm just going to say it. Max Verstappen is going to win Spain on Sunday. And I might look like an idiot, or I may look like a genius.
You're going to force me to jump ship here because you know I can't go with Hal. Oh, if you're not involved with it. So I got to jump to Bottas as here for Spain. And I just think Bottas has kind of been due for a little bit. And I would say Hamilton, but Hal picked him and you didn't. So I got to jump ship.
Listen, guys, I'm sorry. I just have to be right and let the evil empire ride on.
Hey, I mean, I can be very convincing sometimes. Okay, very quickly, let's go ahead and make some picks for the Indy 500 poll. Yes, this isn't going to be a race. This isn't going to be for the race itself, just for the poll. So let's go ahead. I have the entry list pulled up. And
I have the qualifying order, by the way. Hey, this is the qualifying order.
So Justin has pulled it up. The qualifying draw, you got Ray Hall leading it. You got basically the Ray Hall Letterman guys. Then, or actually, it is in random order from what I can tell because it's Ray Hall, Sato, Kellett, VK, Harvey, Dixon, Piggott, O'Ward, Newgarden, Power, Karam, Rossi, Alonso, Hunter-Ray, Veach, Erickson. That's 1 through 16. I would think there's probably another page.
Yep, there's another page. Yep, another page here.
Okay. And then Askew, Rosenquist, Carpenter, Hinchcliffe, Hanley, Davison, Palou, Ferrucci, Daly, Kimball, Pagano, Andretti, Kanan, Herta, Chilton, Castroneves, and Hildebrand. So those are the 33 entries for the Indianapolis 500, and all 33 will make the show because 33 is the traditional Indy 500 number. So let's go ahead. Who from this 33 car entry list is going to win the poll for the 104th greatest spectacle in racing?
I'm going to go with Takuma Sato because he had the fastest practice time and he's going to be going out early. So I feel like that's going to be a huge advantage. Granted, getting into the fast night is going to be it's going to be a question mark, but I think he can get it done.
Well, I think you got to be in the top half here to get to the 9, and for sure. And I'm going to go ahead and say that it is going to be one of the fastest guys is on the racetrack this weekend. I'm going to go with number 13 and Fernando Alonso to win the pole. I just have a feeling that for 13 has just been that team's lucky number. I think that somehow, some way, Fernando Alonso is going to end up on the pole, at least in the Fast 9.
All right. Well, I mean, two things. Number one, at least he won't fail to qualify this year.
Ooh.
Had to bring it up. I'm sorry. Just had to. It was one of the best moments in Indy 500 qualifying history. Don't lie to me on that. And the second is that, I mean, Alonso, hey, he's with Arrow McLaren. And also, this could be his last shot at doing it because it looks like he's going to go to Renault F1 next year. And Cyril or whoever runs – I forget the name of whoever runs Renault F1 right now. It skips my mind. But they've said Fernando Alonso is not going to be running the 500 with Renault. So this might be his last shot at it for a while, or at least 1 year. I actually don't think Alonso is going to win the pole. He's going to be fast, but I don't think he's going to win the pole. I think you got to go with somebody with an experienced team with either Penske, Ganassi, or Andretti. I think you got to go with one of them. And if we can actually go – I actually think the guys at the back half could be at an advantage if we can go to that back half of the qualifying draw, because I think these guys at the back half, they're going to have more grip laid down on the inside. They'll have more like the cars will be able to handle better with more grip on the inside line. I think I'm going to go with you know what? I like storybook. I like storylines for Indy 500. And this guy was really, really fast. If I remember correctly, he was the first driver to break into the 233 mile an hour bracket for practice this month. I'm going to take Marco Andretti for the pole. Andretti has been fairly anonymous the last couple of years in IndyCar and, well, Indy 500 and IndyCar in general. I feel like if he's going to break out and do something big, this is the year he can get it done for the 500. So I'm going to pick Andretti. So those are our picks. It's Sato, Alonso, and Andretti for the Indy 500 pole. Now, again, that's just for the pole. We'll make our picks for the 500 next week. For the Indianapolis 500 will be Sunday, August the 23rd. Now, let's go ahead and make our pick for the last race, the race this weekend, the Cup Series race at the Daytona Road Course, the Go Bowling 235. This race was supposed to be held at Watkins Glen. However, New York has very tight restrictions on COVID, so we're here at Daytona. And here's the starting lineup. Kevin Harvick on the pole, then Denny Hamlin, followed by Martin Truex and Kyle Busch. The rest of the top 10, Logano, Almirola, Elliott, Kurt Busch, Matt DiBenedetto, and Austin Dillon. Jimmy Johnson starts 11th in a new white car for white paint scheme for Ally Financial. They're really getting superstitious and throwing everything at the wall here. Clint Boyer, Byron Newman, Christopher Bell starts 15th. I think that's the highest he's started in 2 months. Matt Kenseth, Bubba Wallace in 19th, going down the rest of the grid, trying to see if there's any ringers in here. Alex Bowman's 27th. Michael McDowell's in 30th. I wouldn't expect him to stay there very long. Quinn Houff in 35th. James Davison back with Rick Ware Racing this weekend. He's 38th. Brendan Gaughan is in this race too. Brendan Gaughan. Good old Brendan Gaughan. I love me some Brendan Gaughan. He's 39th and dead last on the grid, but a lot can happen. A lot can happen with an unpredictable track. 39 drivers to choose from. Hal Leestemp, who emerges victorious in this version of Daytona racing? 65 laps on this road course. Who ends up the winner?
Well, I've already seen Kevin Harvick talk about leading the field in turn one. He does not seem very confident with it, because why would you be? So it's a question of survival. I don't know who's going to make it through the first turn, let alone the first lap. And man, you could pick anybody. You could literally pick anybody, and I'd say, hey, that's a good pick. I'm just going to go with my heart and go with Jimmy Johnson. I want that white scheme to work out for him.
Oh.
And I feel bad for picking him, too, because this is one of those cases where Justin's right. This is going to go badly. I feel bad.
Well,
I am going to, I swear, if Jimmy Johnson wrecks again on the first lap of this race, you are going to be banned from picking him for the rest of the season. I swear. I will hold you accountable to that. But I'm going to have to go with the I don't know who's going to win this race. I got to go with the wheel. I have the wheel up. I'm spinning it right now. You can't see it. And I may be telling you guys it's the wrong driver. It's Brad Keselowski. That's who my will decided at the pick, and that's who I'm going for with this weekend.
all right. Actually, not a bad pick. I think Keselowski, he's capable of getting it done. Let's see. For my pick, you know something? He's become a pretty good road racer in the last few years. I feel like sometimes we don't quite give him enough credit just for how good he is. And he's won a race before this season. He just hasn't won in a while, it seems. But I got to pick Chase Elliott. I think Chase Elliott, with his Watkins Glen success, and he won at the Roval last year after crashing at the halfway point and then coming back to rally. You know, road courses, he's really established himself as a very good road racer. Something that's like one of his hidden talents, but it's like something that Chase really thrives on. So I'm going to pick Chase Elliott for the win on this one, get his second win of 2020. So that concludes our picks, and that concludes our show. We made it inside 10 o'clock. Any last words? Hopefully this is the final edition of the socially distanced way for at least a while, given that everything works out with regulations in place at Mizzou. But Hal, Justin, we've reached the end of the show. Any last words before we call it a night?
Oh, this is the last one of the socially distanced version we have to do. And I hope that the road course gives us a good show, even if it's a bit of a disaster.
Oh, you know it's going to be the disaster. It's just how bad of a disaster it's going to be. It's going to be what type. It's not if, but what. I mean, it's not if it's going to be a disaster. It's going to be what type of a disaster we are going to get. But I will say this: Goodyear. I'm a little skeptical on the Goodyear tires. They're bringing the Watkins Glen tires, and I'm not sure how the rain tires, are going to hold up. Obviously, they did pretty well tonight, considering ARCA was able to run fully. But I will express my concerns on that because Goodyear has messed it up this year with bringing tires from different tracks to new tracks or different tracks, aka bringing the Pocono tires to Indianapolis. But hopefully this is a good race, and hopefully this is the final edition of the socially distanced. And it'll be great to see you guys back in studio next week, and definitely looking forward to this final stretch next year. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be a fun time for racing ahead, and it's going to be fun to be back in Columbia after so long away. I honestly can't believe it's been 5 months since we've been back in our homes or wherever we're living. So it'll be fun to do shows in studio for once again. Thank God. Cannot wait. I got to say, it'll be so good to see you two's ugly mugs again. So that's going to do it for our show. For my co-hosts, Hal Estep and Justin Palmer, on behalf of them, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Please be kind to one another, both in person and online. Until next time, when we will be in the studio of KCOU. This is Sterling Siemens signing off.